So yeah, so questions, people, if you would like to ask a question, please do. Wide open for you. Yeah, Jenica, hi.
I've been working closely with Elder Bill and Karen, and I read the first two chapters, and I'm one of the people that could not put it down. I was just, I thought I knew Indigenous history, especially through my husband, who's a marine biologist and worked as a negotiator for 30 years in the government. But when I read about Elder Bill's story and his grandfather's story and the teachings, I was so stunned I could barely move. And I think this telling the truth of this book is going to be absolutely huge for history and for the young people going forward, because I realized how brainwashed I was and did not know the truth as I was growing out. I didn't have access to this information. And Karen's ability to weave the past and the present through the medium of the canoe, I think is absolutely brilliant. So when you are able to read this book and discover who was in that canoe, the 10 canoes, and how they tried to get to Victoria for help and tried to reach out to the resource that had in fact been the cause of them, it's really heartbreaking and very touching. So I'm going to support this book. I'm so grateful. Michael and I will support this book, and we're so grateful to Elder Bill and Karen for this energy. It's so important for the future. And I'd also like to acknowledge Joshua Wright. Joshua is a brilliant young mapper, geologist, who is the one who blew the whistle on what was happening on Fairy Creek. And he and Elder Bill drew us into helping along with so many thousands of others. And over 4 years, we have evolved a legal case. The Friends of Fairy Creek Society have a legal case that when we are finally heard in court, we will be stopping the logging of the ancient forest through the Migratory Bird Convention. And we are Friends of Fairy Creek Society. The Attorney Generals of BC and Canada are trying to have our case dismissed as irrelevant and frivolous. They have not succeeded. And we are hoping that we can proceed to our two-day court hearing on September 3rd. We invite everyone to go to our website, friendsoffairycreek.org. And if you can come to our court hearing as witnesses, we can celebrate after. But in the meantime, let's help Karen and Elder Bill and Joshua get this book out to recreate the context of the collective consciousness of how important Fairy Creek is and how that forests really matter. And I'll just add, did you know that every old growth tree that is felled is a violation of Canadian laws due to the Migratory Bird Convention Act and regulations, which government and industry is ignoring. And through our group and what Karen and Elder Bill are doing, this is going to stop and the old growth mother trees will be saved.
Thank you, Jenica. Thank you so much. Beautiful, wonderful, profound words. We've got Gina, her hands up. Hi, Gina.
Hi, hi. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. Oh my God. Hi.
Hi.
Elder Bill. I'm so excited about this book. It's really, really written wonderfully. You're so talented, and I Osiamochika, Bill, Hawa Solanas. I am Jadaskila from Haida Gwaii. We have our own problems in Haida Gwaii, which we're battling as First Nations women. And I wanted to ask Elder Bill, do you think that the squeezing out of the matriarchs has led to the destruction of Earth and humanity?
Can you say the question over again? Sorry.
Do you think that the squeezing out of the matriarchs, the women leaders, has led to the destruction of Earth and humanity?
I think in every civilization, there was a balance between male and female entities, I guess you could call it, and that male ego eventually, through testosterone or and that I am the king of the castle, I am the stud, and I am Mr. Control. And man created systems of oppression that capitalized on the fact that males feel that they have to be boss and that we don't need balance. I am the balance. And that is the biggest problem with even religion, if you ask me, because, you know, there's particularly in the Christian Bible, there's a, I am the Lord God, your God, and I am, you know, I am the real El Supremo, and that I am the boss. And then men wind up putting that into their most deepest self and not be able to get outside of ourselves. And I think that is the greatest part of male downfall in this world of where we have to balance between the availability of material things. You should try and find that book.
Oh, which one?
So there's so much to meld together, but like you said, the essential part is the fact that in my reserve, Mom said that before mankind and white man came to our people in the Alberni Canal, where my mother's from, when she was 12, and she said that when we were kids, we ran things ourselves, and we always wound up unknowingly balancing the powers on reservations or little villages. And she said that we had small villages. There was maybe 20, 25 in each little village, and the structure of that, those were, it was self-balancing. And Mom said that when we wanted to do something on our reservations, this is specifically in governance, I said, how did you guys run things? And she said, well, what would happen was somebody would have something to discuss, and Mom said they would put the screen up or in front of behind a bench, and she said they would put a screen up behind the head bench of the longhouse, she said, and then they would put the screen up, and then the elders and the matriarchs and the women would sit behind the screen. And she said that when they would start the meeting, and they would sit there facing the wall and not saying anything. And she said the reason I remember that was because us girls used to hang on to the posts that held the ends of the screen up, and we would play on it, and they would shoo us either get behind the screen or get into the audience and sit down. And she said that's what happened at the meetings. And she said the meetings would proceed just as normally as you think anything, what we talking about, what we're going to do. And then when there was a problem, a confusion, the the chief, it was kind of not as cut and dried as White Man said in his anthropologic books, but anyway, Mom said that they would, the chief would stand up, or the head person. That's another thing. The hierarchy of chieftainship is sort of redefined by white scholars to suit the imperialist needs. But anyway, so she said he would stand up and turn around, and he said that the people in the back behind the screen would stand and turn around and face the chief, and they would discuss things, and the matriarchs and the females would have their input to the chief, and they would tell him, well, this is what we need to do because of this or that. And then he would say, okay, I will listen to that. So he'd get his advice from them, and then turn around and face the audience, and they would comply with what the matriarchs and the elders decided behind the screen. And so it was a self-balancing system where everyone felt not oppressed or offended, not controlled, and that we were still free persons. So she said that all changed when the Indian agent came along and put us all in the boarding school, and so that's why I feel that matriarchy has been we're like, if you ask me, we're like wings. On one wing is the male, on the other wing is the female, and we balance each other, and we fly and coordinate via the focus of our great mother's spirit in the head. So we wind up being free and balanced. And I think that's the way it's always been. Mom told me a story of, she said, we always had 4 or 5 places to live, and that we would not worry about which house we're going to live in, or whether it's going to be the main longhouse or our huts. And we had a house in Jordan River that Grandpa pointed out to me, and it was just a big lean-to, and that was one of our temporary dwellings for fishing in the Gordon River, and Jordan River, up here from Souk. And there was 4 or 5 different nations would share that resource there. So, and all of us had 4 or 5 different dwellings each along the Puget Sound and the San Juan de Fuca Strait and that. So it created a balanced and quite a wholesome world for a governance of independence. Each little village supported itself, and therein lies the crucial part of it. Everybody made everything you all needed in your village, and that was the structure of our society. Everybody creating and evolving our own balancing needs. And that's why I feel that, yes, matriarchy has been oppressed in all civilizations, if you ask me. And it has been proven that the oppression of females has, in some societies, like in China, there's lip service to women, and then saying, we're in the party, we're influential in that. And I've met, a few of the Chinese officials, and there's sort of I felt a grudge match between the males and the females of this group of Chinese officials that I met, and I could sense that there was a tension of male resentment in that group, and that I think is trenchant all across. It's like even being an Indian in my young manhood days, I was as gifted as most persons my age or in my strata, in my evolution of my generation in my people in the Indian Act. And there was always a tension of I'm an Indian, I'm a First Nations guy, I am not you. And that is always brainwashing into both sides, and we can't change ourselves. We're like alcoholics. We can't change a basic fact that I need to dominate, or I need to submit, or I need to resign, or I need to win. And so the complexity of interaction, I think, was balanced and buffered in our governance system of the small reservations. And that when white man came along, it poofed. Oh boy,
Yes.
I think I preach too much, talk too much now and then.
Love it. How Osiamochika, and thank you so much for that, Elder Bill. I do resonate with that. I just wanted to tell you that I'm an activist for the earth and for Indigenous rights, and that I have a case in the Supreme Court of Canada that I'm waiting on a response from the government for identifying the Royal Proclamation, where the federal government is to preserve and protect the land for the First Nations, our unceded territories. And that, so that's, we're still waiting on a response, so we should hear back in the next few weeks. But I just want to say that it's probably against the law what they've done to our land and to our people. And yeah, I am definitely working for us, Elder Bill. So I just wanted to let you know that. How
Sweetheart.
Karen, you're muted.
Oh, I'm such a Luddite. Thanks so much, Gina, for your really important question and for sharing everything that's happened, some of the things that are happening at Pacheedaht. Before Saul's got his hand up, so somebody commented on me that kids don't read very much anymore. Well, I mean, they do in high school and university, but we can, get them reading again. And if it's going to be an audio book, yes, ideally there will be an audio book, but of course that's quite far in the future. So thanks for your comment about that. So Saul, you have a question. You've been waiting patiently.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that this is a project that must be completed. I think it's a very important story. I have known Bill since the original period of the Walbrand blockade in 1991. That's when I first knew Bill. And Bill has become so extremely articulate and committed that he has become the leader, spiritual leader, and even practical leader of the movement here. And this is an incredible achievement. And you're going to be talking about the history of his life and how he came to this point. And that's really very important for all of us and for all Indigenous people too, to learn of this experience. My question is this. Are you aware, I presume you are aware, of an earlier book that was written about a Pacheedaht elder? The book is called Quisto. And I was always wanting to ask Bill, and I never I never got an answer. What was the relationship between Quisto? Who was Quisto with his Anglo name as well? And what was Bill's relationship to that person?
Can I just jump in really quick? We are putting a whole section in that about that book in Flying the Coop. We're weaving it in, so it's going to be a really interesting section just to jump in. So Elder Bill, you want to comment?
Yes, it's as far as the book Quisto is concerned, the creation of it was brought on by a cartoon script writer from Hollywood who worked for Walt Disney, and he used to go to Renfrew and do his holidays there on the beach, and he wound up being friends with my grandparents, Grandpa Charlie and Ida, my grandmother, step grandmother. So they collaborated in the writing of the Quisto. That was very much a romanticized a fantasy creation, sort of touching into facts here and there. And the first edition was rather very sad to me, I thought, because there was some statements in the book saying that Quisto was very connected with nature, and that he had a pet porpoise and he used to ride around the bay. And that, to me, shot down the whole book for me, because it was too fantastic for my own search for comfort in this world, and in particular finding a reality or whatever it is that calms myself. And that's so it's sort of a mythology that was created to make a statement for people who were on a verge of rediscovery. And that, to me, wound up being the book Quisto was a sad creation of a world of let's pretend, and how we fantasy explain and dream to ourselves what we had hoped to happen to ourselves. And that is sort of a very tender and expressive book, in the fact that it's important for me to have it still around, because it's an expression of an emotional experience and our unconscious dreams of what we want in this world. And I think that is a crucial part of our experience, and it is an important book, not so much of being a historically accurate book, but because it expressed to the world the sad needs of a person trying to address their own self-image by creating a world of let's pretend. So that, to me, is a sad statement of the whole world. It created itself in this fantastic library of thought creations, that philosophies, all the smart stuff and all the dumb stuff, all put together. And I think that is why it has to be recognized and acknowledged, not so much because of its own literary value, but because of its message to the world, of that this world, even there's like it's sort of a hodgepodge, like the Bible, if you ask me. The Bible was a slapdash hodgepodge of about 30 or 40 different books that were spliced together to give this world a guiding a guide to control or to live by, but it can't be taken at face value. It's kind of, it makes me sort of, makes me sort of go into a big muddle, because Kuista, the book, is sort of to me like a hodgepodge of the world of, let's pretend, of the Holy Bible in the Christian church. And, there's some fantastic things in religious writings that are still not applicable to me. And when I think of that, like I've been beating my head for 83, going on to 84 years to be at peace in this world here, and starting to understand how and why we wound up where we're at. And we wind up searching. And some of the writings in all these books, the Quran, the Bible, all the religious texts, all say that, there's do this, do that, and you'll be okay, And it's sort of, and then there's promises. And one part of the Quran, one statement said that when you get to the promised land or whatever it is, you're going to have 10,000 virgins at your disposal. And that given to a young boy is sort of, if you ask me, not freeing that boy, because he has to adopt and create his own freedom. And that sacred there. And then there's another part in the Holy Bible that says we're going to go to heaven and we're going to yell at God for 10,000 years. Both to me are insanely unadaptable to my search for sanity in this world. And so if you ask me, that negates a lot of religious writing, because it's kept in there, even though it's implausible and even a bit insane. And that's why I feel that creative writing has to focus to what we hope is the truth, whereas and to let us be comfortable in that truth, whereas the book Quisto is a book of, let's pretend that this is where, wouldn't it be lovely? And so, I better let it go at that, Saul, before I do blab myself into another muddle.
Wow, Elder Bill, that's so great, because Elder Bill and I are about to embark on the section where we're bringing Quisto in. So also, that was awesome, because he just gave me a whole bunch of stuff that I'll be able to use. I love that. Wouldn't that be lovely? That's super cool. Thanks for that great question. Okay, any other questions? Those are really good questions. No? Okay. Okay, well, I just want to say that people, thank you so much for your wonderful questions and comments. I've actually copied and pasted a bunch of your beautiful comments that I'm going to post on my, social media. So thank you so much. And hi, Eartha. Eartha just arrived, I think. Oh, it's Eartha LSFF. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stick the GoFundMe link one more time in the chat. And if you want to donate, wonderful. If you already have, thank you so much. Please share it to help Elder Bill and I get this book out as soon as humanly possible, or as soon as Karenly possible. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm just going to get the link again, and there we go. Just a minute. Okay, here comes the link again, everybody. Sending to everyone in the meeting. And yeah, so Joshua, should we wrap things up?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for coming, everybody. I definitely encourage everybody to donate if you can. And yeah, I mean, speaking for myself, I'm excited to read the book in 2 years or 3 years or whenever it comes out.
But book publishing is terrible. It takes so long, but I'm just, yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll have another reading like as we go along, because people who donate to the GoFundMe, the Luddite over here figured out that I can actually send messages to everybody in one message. So I can announce other readings, of course, as we go along, maybe another one in a few months. And the progress report, of course, and post that on Facebook and Instagram. And then the people who've donated, they'll have a direct link to it. And yeah, so that's really cool. Very exciting. I had a really good time meeting you all. Okay, so we're saying
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Hey, sweetheart.
Bye. Thank
See you
you.
all in
Bye,
the
Bill.
forest.
Bye.
Bye.